Hi, we are Rob and Kathy, and welcome to our channel. Join us for our travels in Australia and beyond. Good morning and welcome to day 3 in Hobart. It's going to be a hot one today, up to about 34, 35 degrees apparently. Cool start though, it's still only about 12. Huge day yesterday, really enjoyed it. A quiet evening after that. And so we're ready for a day out at Port Arthur and some local markets. And of course, we'll let you know more about it when we're there. Well, out and about in Hobart, waiting for our bus to take us on our day trip. And it's going to be 34 today, but it certainly is not 34 just yet. Quite a cool breeze. The bus collected us, and after a brief ride, we were deposited down at the docks. So we've been dropped off for the markets. There's our bus. Down at the docks, which is always a really interesting place. And there's Kathy. Enjoying it?
Yes.
Cool. Hobart is one of the ports that gives access to the Antarctic. And here is one of the Sea Shepherd ships. That's a mouthful. Getting ready, it must be departing today. There's certainly a lot of activity going on. It looks ready for business. Our next stop was the famous Salamaca Markets. The markets operate every Saturday from 8:30 a.m. to 3 p.m. The market attracts thousands of locals and visitors every Saturday. With a range of 300 store holders, there is something for everyone. A feature is local produce and handicrafts. If you want a tank made from bullets, then the Salamaca Markets is the place for you.
And though you will not wait for me, I'll wait for you.
The markets were great, just a little crowded for our taste, so we retired for a cup of coffee with a nice view of what's going on. We reboarded the bus, but our start was delayed because the crew of HMAS Hobart, which was in town for a couple of days, did a march past. Lots of colour and movement. Once the parade had cleared, we were on our way. Port Arthur is 90.7 kilometres from Hobart, and the trip took us about an hour and a half, travelling along the A3 and A9. We've arrived at Port Arthur. We've had lunch, which was very nice, if not a trifle expensive, and we're now going to explore what the penal colony has to offer. This is the penitentiary you can see in front of us. Over to the left is the water, where later on we'll be going on a cruise. The World Heritage listed Port Arthur is the best preserved convict site in Australia. The Port Arthur Penal Colony was established in 1830 as a timber-getting camp using convict labour. From 1833, Port Arthur was used as a punishment station for repeat offenders from all other Australian colonies. By 1840, more than 2,000 convicts, soldiers and civil staff lived here. When the transportation of convicts to Van Diemen's Land ceased in 1853, Port Arthur became an institution for ageing and physically and mentally sick convicts. This is one of the cells. Not particularly roomy. Port Arthur had all of the facilities needed to run a small settlement. This is the guard tower. Other buildings included a hospital, police station and laundry. And here we are entering the governor's cottage. It was certainly a nicer place to be than the cells. For its time, it was well appointed. And life here wouldn't have been too bad. Serving staff and a nice big kitchen for all your meals. These are the law courts. This is the asylum, which looks like it's been fairly remodelled in recent times. And if the convicts were good, they could come to the cafeteria. Here you can see the Anglican church. Quite a solid building. No problems there. Good for a quick prayer. And here is the Catholic Church. Almost the same.
Plenty of money.
Next on the agenda, another cruise. Our short half-hour cruise took us out to the Isle of the Dead. On this small island, both convicts and officials were buried. The only difference was the convicts were put in a hole and the officials got a grave. A few brave souls were spending a couple of hours on the island, so the boat stopped. Then we headed back to the dock at Port Arthur. This is the convict dockyards. As you can see, a commemorative boat frame is here to celebrate the fact.
Look out, man!
It's interesting because convict labour, which cut the trees down and made the boats, was very, very cheap. And the boats they produced were very good and also very cheap. And they undersold all the competition. The local competition, and up as far as Sydney, didn't like that very much and appealed to the government. who in the end staged a commission and decided that yes, it was an unfair practice and the boat building had to stop. You really can't come to Port Arthur without acknowledging the events on the 28th of April 1996. On this day, a man named Martin Bryant came down here with a semi-automatic rifle and killed 35 people. These are the remains of the cafeteria building where a lot of the shootings took place. As a result of the tragedy, the then Howard government introduced a gun buyback scheme where thousands of guns were bought back from people who had them and were out of the community. Back in Hobart, the trip back is very much like the trip out, only the other way around. We're going to source some dinner and that'll be it for the day.